Only me and Moonglade
This
on
time
jjakj.
I'm all alone here on the foreign desk. Not sure why. Why don't you explain yourself for the sake of you and Moonglade?
jjakj is a champion, and he got to his finals versus Leonok in a time of TVT dominance. But that's so long ago it's not really relevant. That's just like the starting point, right? That's like thinking about who jjakj is. Booth experience, way more than BrAvO. BrAvO has a tendency to sometimes make pretty rash decisions in the booth. He has shown some good TVT, and in fact, ever since he joined Samsung, has shown some great games in general. He's, like Journey, found a new place. These two players, these two Terrans from SKT moving into Samsung, finding a lot more game time and also finding a lot more attention, probably the attention they deserve, moving on to a team that needed some replacement players for players like Roro, for example, that left the team. I think this guy, though, jjakj has much more experience. He's not going to choke. I think he's dying to play in Proleague since he's been on foreign team for so long.
Well,
my insanity.
He had one game against Protoss. I can't quite remember the game, but he looked okay. He looked okay. For me, it wasn't enough to say, like, oh, this guy is back in full force. He didn't give me that MMA vibe, that explosive start in Pro League. Whereas BrAvO is a very, very strong TVT player. Like you said, getting that new home on Samsung Galaxy Con. I only slightly favor him, but I definitely do favor him going into this one.
Got a great record versus Terran with 4-2. And does have a winning record versus jjakj as well.
Yeah. The one thing I want to point out, though, BrAvO isn't the best player to come through in the clutch. He's the only person stopping this from getting to an ace match. He's the only guy right now. Team leagues are so stressful. There's so much pressure on him in this moment. Like you said, maybe that booth experience is going to come back to bite him. Maybe he's going to fluke under the pressure and not play his game. He is a very, very strong TVT player, but not in every single game that he plays. I have seen him mess up from time to time.
jjakj 1-0. He's only played one Pro League match. He won it. And I just feel like this guy's got a lot of experience. They're putting him out here again. And I just favor his experience, just straight up. I mean, I don't even know how else to explain it. I mean, yeah, I've been, they say, criticized and joked about in the past for making predictions off some sort of like voodoo feeling or something, but
you got that creak in your elbow today, Wolf?
After I posted jjakj in the chat, I almost changed it, and I said, no, jjakj will take this.
Feeling the energy, feeling the vibes?
I have confidence in him. We'll see, though. He needs a win. We are going to an ace match if he can do it. Otherwise, Samsung's going to take the win 3-1. Let's jump into the game here on Cactus Valley.
Down here in the bottom left, in the red, Samsung Galaxy Con, it is BrAvO.
Oh my god! He accidentally loaded SCVs into his CC to the bottom right. It's jjakj.
You can see it on his face, too. That's yeah.
Ooh.
Just a really bad mistake to make right in the very beginning of the game. And the sound was so loud when you did it, too. Every single person in the studio knows. Everybody watching. So embarrassing.
Oh, man. Okay, well, this is not like the craziest thing in the world, but you will notice that he is significantly behind in his build.
50-50. I think we've only seen this once before. I have no idea who it was, but I remember a 50-50 once. And here it is once again, BrAvO versus jjakj.
I think it was like Zest versus Creator or something, I want to say. It's like,
yeah, maybe.
It's like one of those matches where it's like, well, this could really be either way. It's like, is he going to keep losing to Creator? All right, notice this build is just really behind for jjakj now to start things off. I was, praising him for having so much experience and not having nerve issues and whatnot. This is just simply a misclick, though. This will happen to everybody every now and then.
This is actually the first time that I've seen it, though.
He canceled it so quickly that he only loaded 3. I've seen this happen before where someone's accidentally loaded 5.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen all sorts of things. I've actually commentated a lot of games from amateur games to team leagues. I think I was casting one team league. I'm trying to remember the name of it now. It was a long time ago before I moved to Korea, and a Terran Pro might have been on EG at the time, like accidentally loaded all the SCVs and the CC and then GG'd because it was so tilted. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Actually, no, I think it might have been on eSuba, the Czech team. Anyway, it was a long time ago. These things happen, right? And when I see that, my first instinct is, he's going to the gold base! And I'm like, there's no gold bases on this map, and that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's not good. Let's kind of try to forget about this though, because it's not like the end of the world. It just
it's pretty small. It will definitely give BrAvO a small advantage, but may not even come into play in this game. We do see BrAvO going for a gas first build into pretty fast second gas. We're going to see very harass heavy style, kind of the same build that Maru went for against Marine King in his game. Going to add that second Reaper and going to come out here with the Hellions as well. Come across the map.
Well, this is actually, let's hold that thought. These two Reapers are going to meet each other. First shot goes to BrAvO, I believe, but he actually turns around first. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
And the Reaper doesn't chase for fear that there's another Marine or a second Reaper, which was actually the case. So the build that jjakj does here is it's insanely good at cross spawns. At these close horizontal spawns versus a fast Banshee, you will just barely be able to get a Viking out in time to deal with it. It's a safe build. It's one we used to see all the time in Wings of Liberty. Just the one gas into a factory after CC, and it's a solid build. We even see it sometimes in the in the matchup versus Zerg, and you get the Hellions out to harass.
It's definitely much safer than the build that the Marine King went for, the CC first into double rags, and jjakj here, he's going to finally have 2 Marines out. Does have that reactor on the racks, and he should be able to fill up that bunker pretty soon. It looks like he's not going to go into the bunker just yet. Maybe he wants to bait those units in.
Yeah, I think that's what he wants to do. He's hoping the Reapers are going to jump up here, but his units are going to come in here. Several Marines here. Good control on that Hellion. Or rather, good focus fire on that Hellion, I should say. And that Reaper looks like it might be able to escape. I guess not really.
Not going to be able to. Also, those Marines were, of course, blocking the Reaper from jumping up. So there you go. It's going to be totally taken out. And BrAvO kind of throwing away all of his units with that move. And
this Hellion needs to get out of here, too.
Yeah.
Let's see how much this Banshee gets done. There is a Widow Mine on the way. But like I said before, that the Viking is a bit late with this kind of build. So it's just barely going to be out in time. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't think it will be. Not for the first like few shots of this Banshee at least, and turrets aren't ready either. This is going to be very problematic.
There's a Widow Mine though, and the cloak is not yet done.
Oh my God, Valdez! And there it goes, down to 15 hit points here. Still alive though, gets a kill and retreats.
Yeah. Doesn't want to risk it. Uh-oh. At the same time, I'm going to take a lot of damage on those Marines.
An eye for an eye.
As they say.
Yeah. Hammurabi's code, man.
So turrets are set up here. He's actually going to go for 3 turrets. The turret placement on that third one is much better than the one that Marine King put down. It's going to be straight on top of that production, making sure that those Banshees cannot harass the units that come out. Or even the building SCVs or the tech lab that Maru was somehow able to get in the last game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Marine King put the turret in a place where, I mean, the turret was, the placement when he placed it wasn't bad. He just didn't build around it, so he made it.
It was like a
himself.
ramp turret or something, trying to protect that ramp.
And this one is exactly where he wants it to be. He's gonna give him full coverage. Yeah, this Banshee gonna really struggle to find any damage. Takes 2 shots early on. A scan will do it. And it's looking at a refinery. That's not what he wants. That's going to finish him off. Meanwhile, that drop is now heading across. There are a few Vikings here, but they're not quite in position. With that siege tank,
though, yeah. The standoff. The Widow Mine standoff. They're staring at each other.
Face off. Oh, boy. Well, this is going to be a sad finish. If he doesn't get that out of there.
Ooh. Both players making some interesting moves with their control. That one wasn't really a terrible one. He just didn't notice the Vikings.
He can actually turn and fight this.
Oh,
wow. What? Okay, he knows.
Nicely done. I was scared he was going to send everything up there, man.
That could have been really bad. just because he only has one medevac. Used like almost all of his energy to heal the rest of those Marines if that happened.
So the third CC of jjakj was never made, was it?
Nope.
Whereas the third CC of BrAvO is going to finish up right now.
Actually, let me just check this again. I don't think so. I don't think he made one, yeah. He's adding more barracks now, actually. He looks to be doing a more aggressive attack. Try to punish that third CC when it lands. He also has a faster stim. Because it's starting to look somewhat similar to what we saw from Journey, except he did a third CC. But if you want to compare it to what we saw, it's a faster tech versus faster units. In this case, faster siege tanks, because he's going for mech. BrAvO is. I worry for jjakj here. He's going to have an opportunity to try to kill that third base when the siege tank count is low. But if he doesn't do well with this, he's not going to have a third, and he's not going to have tech that he needs to win this game. Like, mech is objectively in position better than straight up Marine bio. Like, it will win if you want to engage straight up. And so you might think, well, I mean, I guess you could try to avoid it. I guess you could try to do something else. You could try to use that mobility disadvantage. Not without a third base, not without the economy behind it to outproduce the tanks to try to make enough Marines to outposition.
Yeah. Part of going very heavy on the infantry is continuously dropping and keeping the meching Terran back in his base so that you gain full map control. And with that, you're able to get those faster bases like you were talking about. So jjakj kind of flubbing him here a bit, it seems. And BrAvO's going to scout and he's going to be like, oh, well, you haven't even dropped a third base, and mine's complete.
So right now, most likely, BrAvO is just going to sit back and turtle. Probably not even going to move his third CC because that's a liability. He's going double mech upgrades, insanely greedy. Why take the risk of trying to drop that third CC right now when jjakj hasn't even shown anything?
No reason. And he did also get a nice scan a bit earlier on, BrAvO did, so you may have an idea that this was just coming. And he's just setting up a great position back in his own base. You know, he's just got stuff in the main, he's got stuff in the natural. Looks like he's finally moving out that CC.
Yeah, scan does reveal this to jjakj. Oh, actually doesn't see it just yet. Big drop here. It's going to distract some of these units. And he is moving towards that third base location, but every second that goes by, the economy for BrAvO gets a lot stronger.
It's actually not a CC, it's a rack.
Yeah. So
throwing me off.
Yeah, it is a bit tricky. The 1-1 upgrades are going to be done for BrAvO soon. Look at his SCV count. It's 60 to 49. If you look at his second base, his natural, it's like just massively oversaturated because of all these SCVs. Look at that. Yeah. He's just dropping mules, triple mules, making a better army.
And we finally see the third base come down for jjakj. This is the scouting Hellion. It looks like jjakj is going to be able to deny that. But BrAvO can reasonably assume that that's coming down around now. It would be crazy if it weren't.
Just to put this into perspective, 1-1 for mech is going to be versus +1 attack for bio in a second. Okay, he's going for the big drop on top of these tanks. This is his opportunity. A lot of these tanks are not seized up, Valdez. Hellbat's coming out here as well to try to deal with these Marines. And this is just not enough, not even close. Okay, this Bioforce is trying to come up from the north, though, through that natural.
So you get a decent amount of damage done, but a lot of those units are very, very low. And in fact, the rest of BrAvO's army is going to come back here and defend. So really nice drop there, getting BrAvO out of position, but it doesn't really find the damage that he would have hoped for.
He killed a lot more than he lost, and he did eliminate a lot of the siege tanks. So when I first saw that drop, I was scared that was just going to be it. But he did hit the front and did eliminate some siege tanks that we saw off camera. Let's see if he can actually do something follow up. He is going to have now 1-1, still versus the 1-1 of the tanks, Vikings, etc. But still want to give a huge edge to BrAvO. But this Bioforce could maybe overwhelm him here. He needs to be very careful with his tanks. I almost feel like moving this down right now is too risky.
The follow-up push here is going to be pretty huge. This is the one I'm scary about. He's already got 14 Marauders. There's not a big enough tank count out just yet for BrAvO to deal with this. He's only producing one tank at a time, only now getting that third base and those gases. He hasn't had that for so long, so in a way, he was being very safe, and that was okay, but I think I kind of called it wrong. I think he took too much damage from the drop to the point that he lost too many tanks to defend this third base, and now this follow-up push is extremely scary out of jjakj.
Also, the follow-up push has much more Marauders, you know, than the first one, and that's going to be what he wants to use as his bread and butter here. They're also going to be able to fight against the Hellbats a lot easier. Okay, Center Tower sees this, jumps in on top of this army with the Hellbats, zoning out for those siege tanks. Banshee here helping out as well. This flank is not good enough to attack the north, but he trades again here pretty decently, and now he's in a good spot with his tanks to hit this CC, and I like what jjakj's doing here. It's starting to work out a lot better than I expected because he has these Marauders.
He's got a huge position with those tanks, and oh man, he was going for a big drop in the main, but a lot of Vikings in that missile turret ring is going to push jjakj back. I think jjakj for now, he's saying, okay, I've got my own base back at home. I've done a lot of damage. Let me regroup a bit here and then go for another follow-up push.
BrAvO's adding additional factories right now. He is about to hit 2-2 with his mech, which is going to make it a lot stronger. The thing about this is it's not just straight bio. It's bio allowing positioning. He's basically bullying BrAvO's small siege tank count with Marauders and Marines and then putting his own siege tanks into critical positions. We're going to see this again here in just a moment. Stims and gets ready to drop on top of these siege tanks. A huge bio force on the ground, but jjakj does not bring all of his tanks. A lot of them are sitting there at the back, not participating in the fight. Looks like it might not matter though. He's going to target down his other siege tank. This is too much bio. He has to lift, and all these SCVs are vulnerable. And you need to bring all of his tanks. There's so many sitting back there, all rallied in here, just not doing anything. They're there. Look at them. They don't even need them.
There's too much bio here at the same time. He totally pushes back that third base. Everything we were saying before, this is just the follow-up. Just the regroup from jjakj. He's too far ahead at this point. Not enough tanks. Not a great position either for BrAvO. That third base is so close to the positioning of where jjakj is on the map. Even it's so easy for him to just straight up bio push from here and get that position with those tanks like you were saying. And it seems like now jjakj's getting a little bit nervous about there being a hidden base, but he's more far ahead than he even realizes now.
I feel like BrAvO's not managing his resources very well either. He's lost a lot of his gas mining. He has 5 CCs now. 5.
What?
He has 5 CCs, but he's not all of them are mining. That's where all his money went. This engagement here is not going well for jjakj. He doesn't have the bio to support these tanks anymore. I think he got a bit too aggressive here.
Yeah, I don't understand this attack at all, in fact.
I think he's like worried that he's like, does he have too much stuff? How does he have that much stuff? I think I have to try to kill him now or I've missed my timing. I think he's also getting concerned about the fact that he's down in upgrades. It's 2-2 for mech versus 1-1 for bio.
jjakj just threw away so much stuff with that attack.
Yeah.
He threw away all of his tanks. He threw away half his bio. And now BrAvO has been able to get that third base up on a much better position, I must say. He's gotten that tank out. He has a lot more factories producing tanks. And with that one fell swoop, BrAvO is going to get right back into this game.
Yeah. jjakj threw away a lot of units and a whole lot of his advantage.
This is a sloppy TBT match all over this map right now.
5 CCs, though. Quintuple mules. And he's got...
Well.
He's basically got the ability to mine now from 4 different locations. Obviously, taking a 5th base is pretty out of the question right now, but he actually didn't make his last orbital or last CC into an orbital. His 4th base at the old location is now a planetary, so that is going to be a lot harder to assault.
Yeah, I like this positioning much better for BrAvO. I think earlier on he was just playing way too safe, and then moving it down there, maybe just afraid of the 2-pronged harass, you know, coming from the north side towards the third base, and some drops in the main would have been scary, but...
jjakj just totally misinterpreted the situation. What you were talking about with the fear of the hidden base, I think, is really something that was in his mind. He checked literally every base on the map with a Marine. Now he's like checking again. I think he's just like, why do you have so much stuff? It's because his third base was up for so much longer. Seems like he can't wrap his head around that concept of how did he end up with all these things, even though I forced him to lift. How does he have this much mech? Why are his upgrades so good? He was so greedy.
It was just very early greedy play out of BrAvO, like you're saying.
jjakj didn't identify it early enough.
We're going to see a giant drop into what looks like the main out of jjakj. jjakj is pretty much switched totally into only bio. Only now is he getting some tanks out. But pretty much only a bio force for now.
He's going to do a big drop here. There's sensor towers, 3 of them, and that turret ring with 3 turrets here,
and
as well as Vikings now.
Even Hellions. He sees everything. He knows everything. He's the opposite of Jon Snow.
This is, man, I was about to say, this is like the reverse of what we saw from Journey earlier. This is the YOLO drop. These Blue Flame Hellions should be warded away by this tank. It might get some damage done, but we see a large bio force to the north. Can actually assault this base.
But he never really moved into that attack. He scanned it and he just backed off. I have to say the play from both players is kind of scared, but BrAVO's scared play is more granted just because of how 3D played very early on in the game.
He's now getting 3-3. He's getting high-sec auto-tracking because he knows that jjakj is one of his only things he can do in this game is straight up go for these big pushes. BrAVO's not having bad macro at this point. I know you guys are probably going at home like, oh, well, he's got his economy. He's got so much of a bank. Why is he not making units? His supply went down. He was actually trying to decide what he wanted to build, and he added a bunch of starports. Looks like he wants to go heavy into Banshees with those, since he already has air control.
I like that. You can see how many Marauders are in that mix. You get a decent amount of tank hits on all those Marines. Banshees can sweep through straight onto those tanks. This is a nice position from jjakj, though. The tank's on the high ground. He's not engaging just yet.
Hellbat's going to drop on top of these siege tanks, but they're going to drop into a world of hurt with all these Marauders. I don't think this is the place to attack, though, for jjakj, because he has to snake around down this ramp where he's going to be eating damage the entire time. His opponent has air control. He can't do a big drop on top of these tanks with his Marauders.
Plus 3 attacks is finished for BrAVO, too.
Yeah.
And here come the Banshees, just like we were saying. You can't move those Marines forward when there are 16 tanks on the low ground from BrAVO. He loses 2 tanks for free, and now he's just going to back off. I'm seeing a little bit of like innovation in jjakj's play, where he has an idea in mind, but it doesn't get executed correctly, and he's kind of just like going back and forth on the map, trying to find a different location, but BrAVO's just defending everything, and he can't find anything.
Yeah. He's about to get +3 attack for these Mars, which is an important moment. I honestly feel like jjakj's best plan here is to now aggressively expand across the map as we're seeing him do, which he should have been doing from the beginning with the bio, and then with a bank try to air switch. But this is something that is going to take him so long to do because already BrAVO has such massive air control and the Banshees already, and he's not going to give him time anymore either. He's actually starting to now push with his mech.
Yep. Not messing around this time. A lot of those tanks are pretty vulnerable up towards the north. A lot of bio left over there. It looks like jjakj's thinking about a counterattack, in fact.
Yeah, he's going to go for an elimination race. Or maybe try to go for a sandwich here. Oh, God, this is terrible, though.
Yeah. Oh, taking so much damage. That Banshee switch was genius, by the way. BrAVO's getting so much damage done with that.
Oh, this is looking really rough for jjakj right now. He's got, like, no tools in his toolkit.
BrAVO's looking for that checkmate position, but jjakj's going to come from 2 sides. Hellbat's trying to be dropped to defend here from BrAVO, but jjakj is going to get this around from the top. He's going to take out a lot of tanks.
Yeah, even the Thor getting involved here. And BrAVO with a ton of resources left over to remax this, but remaxing a mech does take quite some time. Meanwhile, this Bioforce does aggressively move over, but he can't move into these tanks. Again, that's a terrible place to engage. I wish he would stop doing that.
Look at this. We're going to see a gigantic switch from jjakj into air.
This is what
even adding the fusion core.
Yeah, this is what I was saying before. This is his chance. If he can build a bank to do this, this is how he gets back into the game.
Oh, but BrAVO scouts everything. He even kills all the SCVs building the 4-star ports. What?
Well, Banshee's 2-shot an SCV, and you get 2 Banshees. He just like right-clicked and like shift-clicked all the SCVs. He's like, see ya.
BrAVO's having, or rather jjakj's having so much trouble dealing with those Banshees even. 2 Banshees are getting to work on that barracks.
Oh, it's time for a hard contain. Putting up turrets. Now, mind you guys, he has building armor right now. He has high-sec auto-tracking for his turrets. I mean, this is just going to be a super hard contain, a tough push. He might even take that base. He is taking that base. He's actually literally taking that base right now. jjakj is falling apart to this Banshee
cancels the building on the starports again with those 2 Banshees. Those 2 Banshees are still getting damage done.
That Banshee has 15 kills.
There was a base there with no turrets, even after he saw the Banshees being built like 5 minutes ago.
And he had so much bank, too.
Yeah, he's going to go for a bit of a counterattack once again. This might be a little bit better, but now that I say that, looking at the army that BrAVO's brought back, it will be enough to defend. And jjakj Once again, has to rethink where he's going to come from. Now 3 Banshees getting to work at this base, and nothing to defend.
He does look like innovation, man. He's just kind of walking around in circles here. This is not going to be a fight he can take. Some of the army is missing, so he can come over here and beat the smaller force. But what about the rest that comes over? That's going to be the issue.
And he's got so many Marauders in this mix, if you'll notice.
There's
There's still so many Banshees in the sky.
Yeah.
BrAvO is still making so many Banshees. He's got a huge Viking fleet to protect them, and there's just not enough anti-air to deal with them.
Exactly. If he had a bunch of Marines with this comp, I actually feel like he could take this fight and maybe try to claw his way back into this game. But
we're seeing him desperately trying to add a bunch of Marines, but almost everything has been taken out at this point.
Yep.
GG. BrAvO's going to close it out, and Samsung will get their 3-1 victory to end things here tonight.
Very solid play at the end of all there. The Banshee switch being smart. It was a bit of a shaky game for both players throughout the mid-game, but
yeah, very sloppy, shaky game overall, I have to say. Made it a bit more fun, in fact. A very action-packed TBT. jjakj was moving all over that map, trying to somehow find damage, but I think the comparison to the way that Innovation plays against Protoss at times is pretty granted here.
Yeah.
Just in the way that he just could not find an opening anywhere. BrAvO had very, very good defense. At times we were saying it was kind of too defensive, too safe, but it paid off for him at the end. There was that one point in time where he was on 2 base and he had 5 CCs, and I'm like, what? When did he even get those CCs? BrAvO was playing for the late game through and through from the beginning to the end, and he finally made it work. There were some scary moments, but he held out in the end.
He knew exactly what he was doing, and jjakj playing a bit of an outdated style, I have to say, and he was not aggressive with it early enough. He missed his timing window, and then eventually BrAvO just had too much. Despite taking some bad engagements and losing a lot of early tanks, he then just basically played perfectly. He made turret with his push. He had turret range building armor, whatever. You know, he had like almost every upgrade in the game.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very frustrating loss for jjakj, especially because there were many moments in the game where jjakj looked like he almost had it there. Like, especially that drop very early on. He actually got a lot more damage than I had even seen when the drop went off. But wasn't able to build off of that. There were many follow-up pushes, but he just could not squash the bug of BrAvO.
Also behind in upgrades the entire time versus mech, never where you want to be. Well, Reality and Journey take those first 2 wins versus Curious and MMA. Curious having a very tough day with a failed all in there. Mech defeats him. And we see Deer, the only player to fall for Samsung versus DRG. DRG just eventually holding off that push, but it didn't matter at the end of the day.
Crazy game there for games 3 and 4, actually. I would definitely recommend both of those ones. And here are our current standings before we get into the final week. SK Telecom T1, of course, on top. KT rolls to 4-2, but SBENU stays at 3-3. They didn't lose too many points today. They at least got 1 win. And JNR Green Wings, with that win, they go up to 3-3 and +1 tied. Samsung Galaxy Com with the loss is 3-3 and -1. That's why that indicator point matters so much. MVP as well with 2 penalties now.
Yeah, in fact, they'd only be 1 point behind if they hadn't messed that up. So this is what we were saying early on in the season. This is why when someone types GG in Korean, we're like, oh, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So
huge deal, in fact. Maru, he gets his win today. Here he goes ahead of, well, he's tied with Hero in terms of wins for most winning players. And no one else up here really. Well, it looks like Rogue got his win today against Yonghwa, so he goes up to 12 wins now.
Yeah, stays in 7th, which is weird, actually, that he